turn up just a little bit so I can hear what I'm doing. Alright, got me. Hello, everyone and everything, and welcome back to more Hollow Knight. In the last episode, we came all the way down to the bottom of the ancient basin at the very bottom of the world and fought some pretty fierce foes. Most notably, the broken vessel. In this episode, well, we found another dream realm within that broken vessel's husk. So let's see what he's dreaming about. In case you were wondering, no, this is still not a good time to talk about the fact that this guy looks just like me, or in fact why he's called kin. For the third time, a dream rematch is a much faster, tougher, and far more threatening version of something we've already defeated. But I'd say the Lost Kin is probably the most similar to his base form, almost deceptively so. Everything he does is indeed faster, his attacks crack off more frequently, and they just about all have less wind-up, but as far as our strategy goes, we can't really treat this as just the same fight but faster. But we'll get into that after the attacks. Once again, we have the dash and slash, the aerial slash, the splashdown, the jump, the flail, and summon balloon. You may notice that we're actually missing one from the broken vessel fight, Outbreak. This is a peculiar case where the harder fight actually drops an attack from the repertoire, and I am not complaining. That attack is absurd. The dash and slash, aerial slash, jump, and flail are all relatively unchanged apart from the fact that he uses them more frequently. His jumps, in the case of the aerial slash and jump, are significantly faster, especially his falls. What this means for us is that we have to be especially cautious every time he leaves the ground, or else some unlucky positioning could get us caught off guard. Golden rule of jumps, of course, always try to move towards rather than away from. I'll go over it in more detail once we actually get to the game plan, but essentially, you want to make sure that you're not already committed to an attack right as he's starting one. So we're going to primarily attack him either during or immediately after his attacks, and not during the gaps in between. The splashdown has received a minor upgrade, sending out 6 more closely spaced projectiles instead of 4. This makes it harder to dodge if you're further away from him, but just as before, as long as we stick close to his landing spot, they're not really a factor. Summon Balloon, on the other hand, yikes. This is what really makes this fight a step up from the broken vessel. Unlike before, these will start spawning after he's only lost 50 health. The intervals between each balloon start at about 3 seconds and seem to get shorter as the fight goes on. In addition, the fact that he doesn't use Outbreak means that they will never stop spawning until the kin is dead, and will never despawn on their own. They still only have 1 HP, thank goodness, but the sheer volume of these things makes them a constant nuisance at best. You need to prioritize their defeat over dealing damage to the Lost Kin whenever they appear, or you're bound to bump into one. They also make healing nearly impossible without exact timing, so unlike the Soul Tyrant and the Failed Champion, we have a lot less room for error. So really, this is a boss fight against an infinite swarm of balloons, and also Lost Kin is here too. But how are we going to go about it? Well, as you may have come to expect, we're always going to reset to center stage, or at least a safe distance from the Lost Kin if he's at the center, and we're going to let him come to us. As I said before, we're primarily going to land strikes either during or immediately after his attacks. Watch him closely for the downtime in between attacks so that you have the best chance of dodging whatever he throws at you next. While we're waiting for him to attack, you'll want to focus on the balloons. Killing them is top priority, but it might take some fancy footwork depending on where they spawn and what attack the Lost Kin uses. Don't forget we have a double jump now, which gives us a plethora of new options while we're in the air. What once would have spelled a certain hit can now be avoided with the touch of a button, so keep it in mind. The one upside of the balloon's incessant spawn rate is that you'll never be hurting for soul during this fight. So while I don't recommend chasing down Lost Kin just to get an attack off, firing a Vengeful Spirit from a safe distance is a great idea. His high knockback can even force him to get hit twice with a single shot pretty easily. The main thing to keep in mind is that the Lost Kin is not the broken vessel. With the vessel, we could essentially bully him into submission with his high knockback and low stagger stats. Lost Kin has the same knockback and some even lower stagger stats, but the absolute frequency of his attacks means that you have to play this way safer. Finally, charm recommendations. I absolutely recommend Quick Focus to at least scrape together some healing while he's staggered, but other than that, it's up to you. Don't forget that the fight is a dream, so you can equip some fragile charms if you want. Okay, bear all that in mind and we've as good as won. I guess you could say this kin has already lost. The lost kin is usually the first of the dream rematches that people will run into. It just works out with the routing that you can't get to this one until after you've gotten the crystal dash. And getting the crystal dash usually leads very elegantly into getting the dream nail. Not the route I took. I decided I wanted to get the dream nail a little earlier, since I could. Oh dear. But generally speaking, for a lot of new players, this is the first boss that really makes them go, whoa. I might be out of my depth here, and I was no exception. The Lost Kin is one tough cookie. And not a very yummy looking one either. I don't know what flavor the whole infection racket is, but it's probably not my favorite. Oh, that was not... Ah, really? Oh, goodness, now we're falling apart. Luckily, once again, a dream, so my Steel Soul run is not in danger whatsoever. This isn't one of my better fights. I'll definitely admit that. The infected balloons just act as too much of a wild card for my liking. And you can't really get in a super steady rhythm with them and the Lost Kin. So probably gonna lose this here in a moment, especially since it's practically impossible to heal. And even though I recommended quick focus, I still don't have that one. Dang it, no! Come on. I can do this. I don't know how close I am. Not close enough. That's okay. This is actually a really easy fight to get straight back into, unless you hit a spike. That's probably fine. But just head straight down this way. Avoid the spikes. Now I'm one hit less. Although I do have Fragile Heart on. So I'm actually still net positive from that. Didn't help too much, though. Okay. I need to hurry up and take my own advice and just do a dodge and hit strat. This guy, if you try and play him too aggressive, he's just gonna get you. And that's the real crux of the matter. I think I can... Nope, I could not. Could not. The real crux of the matter is... This game has really taught you up to this point that, like, being reckless and healing off your mistakes is okay. You can handle that. You can make mistakes, heal them off, go crazy while you learn a fight. Not this guy. He requires something a lot more refined. But, speaking of more refined, we have the double jump! And I am so excited for that. The double jump is probably, of all the abilities in the game, the double jump is probably the one I miss the most every time I start over. It just feels so much more natural to get your... Whoa! Yeah, okay, that's fine. Feels so much more natural to get around the world using that double jump. Every jump just works. You've got that extra height to it. And so going back to the beginning of the game when you've got none of that, even after you get the dash, it just feels so hard to get around. And finally, I don't have to worry about that ever again. What's more, the file that you guys have been seeing in the boss bios, the tutorials that I do for every boss, I have double jump. I have the Monarch Wings on that file, and I've had them since probably about the third or fourth bio that you guys saw. And so, essentially, the only reason I haven't been using them in that boss fight is because... Oh, I did it! There we go. Is because I've had to will myself not to touch that jump button. Again, reaching out with that final bit of will. Have you anything to say, my friend? Evidently not. No voice in that one. Another massive payload of Dream Essence, which is excellent, excellent, excellent. Up to 1400. No doubt we've got another reward waiting for us back at the resting grounds. So I'm excited to go check in on what all that's about. In the meantime, now that we have the double jump, we can start exploring places hitherto unknown to us. I just used the word hitherto, and that was fun. I'm going to do that more often. So now, we can get all around. So much easier. Anywhere you can think of. You've probably seen jumps over and over again. We've actually skipped past a couple of them. Interestingly enough, this ability, bada boomba. That was not how I was intended to get that grub. It was supposed to come up through here, but whatever. I don't follow the rules. There's a lot of jumps that we've ignored. The one at the top of the Crystal Peaks comes straight to mind. It's probably the most important one that we've skipped the need of having a double jump. And interestingly enough, though, like, the specific routing of this game technically requires the Monarch Wings, you never have to get them in order to just beat the game. So that's pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead and throw on these charms again, just because it makes my job a little easier. So there's only one place that we still haven't really explored down here in the Ancient Basin, off to the right. It's already labeled by Cornifer, the Palace Grounds. So let's mosey our way over there, butterfly wings in hand. Such great aesthetics, as always. These beautiful, bright white wings, standing in such stark contrast to everything else in the game. Love it so. But we're here at the Palace Grounds, also required to have the double jump to get up here. So couldn't have done this earlier. Now, Elderbug, I believe, told us, or maybe it was Lem, I don't remember, that the palace was just gone. No real signs of struggle, no signs of battle, but the palace is no longer here. It's as though it disappeared overnight. We've got the main entrance, but behind us is just a massive void. And a corpse in white armor. Looks like it's got some dream essence around it, but for the first time since we got this thing, a barrier blocks our way into whatever this guy's dreams are. So he will remain a mystery to us. We've got some more of these white ones, though. Where have you gone, dear king? Same thing. Interesting. All the way at the end, break down this hidden wall. And down here, at the very base of the world, we find the hidden station. Especially well hidden, for sure. I want to bring up the composite map, just to, again, look at how far down we've come. Starting all the way up here in Dirtmouth, and making our way ever deeper until we found ourselves all the way down here. And there is a bench on this station, but for some reason it's on the wrong side. What you got to say, my friend? Ah, what a station this is. Hidden all the way at the bottom of the world. Until I heard the bell calling, I didn't even know the stagways traveled so deep. You've discovered something quite astounding, little one. No matter how old I grow, the world still keeps surprises like this stowed away. I tire so easily now, and my old legs seem to ache more and more. Still, I'm lucky to grow old at all. So many others haven't. Well, my friend, I think I want you to take me back up to more familiar grounds. I'll be honest, the rest of this episode is going to be a little bit more of a cleanup episode. We're going to be hitting some various places that we've been to before, because we now have just about every major basic ability. We've still got some upgrades to abilities we already have that we've yet to find. But as far as what we've actually got, wings of ethereal matter that shimmer in the darkness, allow one to jump again in midair. Ethereal matter, how cool is that? Hang on. One thing I need before we travel on is the Grimkin, or the Grimchild. Let's go ahead and throw that on. What else should we have? Since I have one more slot, I do want to draw attention to the Sprint Master. It does add a pretty significant speed boost to us. but it's one of the charms I recommend using the least. It's weird to think about. This game is not really designed around having that movement speed, and getting used to it is one of the worst things that worst like disservices you can do for yourself. Now, I don't know what my train of thought was before going on that little tangent. I'll try and think of it, but it seems we're just gonna have to travel onwards. This train keeps rolling, and not necessarily in the best directions. So we've got another Grimkin novice to fight. And that was just rude. I kind of wanted that not to happen. These guys settle themselves in the worst spots sometimes, it feels like. Right, I remember what I was saying. So we have the basic forms of every major ability in the game. We got the Isthmus tier to let us swim through acid. We have the double jump to let us reach new heights. And much, much more. So today we're going to go around to some familiar places and basically clean them out of stuff that we weren't able to get originally. Flame consumed, that's 2 of 3. Where to next? Now, while we're in the area, I'm gonna go and show off something that I definitely should have shown a fair while ago. We're going to head back out the main entrance of the City of Tears, the one we very first came in through, where the door sealed us off and decided it wasn't going to let us back out the way we came. Because once we got the Desolate Dive from the Soul Sanctum... Oh, hey, money! We gained the ability to do this! Essentially, making this once again a corridor that we can freely travel back and forth from now on. Very important to do, as always, opening up this world. Makes it a lot less painless to travel later on, should we ever have the need to. And then, off this way over to the right, back where we first got the map of this area from Cornifer, right over here. You may recall there was a door we once found that we weren't able to unlock. We've since found the key. It's the elegant key that we bought from Sly after opening up his storerooms. And voila! Wide open. And within we find a boss we've already fought before. And not a dream rematch either. This one is more of just a simple iteration. No changes in frame data or anything like that, but his stats will be changed slightly. So introducing the abbreviated bio. I'll be using this whenever we come across a new version of a previous boss that isn't the same as a dream rematch. So he is probably one of the most extreme ones here. This Soul Warrior has more HP and another attack, the ability to summon these follies. What's funny is that basically that makes him a far, far easier version of the Lost Kin that we literally just fought, so nothing really to worry about from that guy. And up above, let's see what he was guarding. Let's see here. I've got a lever. Inspection. Let's Dream Nail first, I think. So this is a Snail Shaman again. It's hard to tell when they're not in profile. But indeed, this is them. Hooked up to some contraption. Examine closely? Sure. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I think these Snail Shamans, kind of get the bad end in life. But we consume this Shade Soul. We have upgraded our Vengeful Spirit to now be this dark version. Doing far more damage and having a larger hitbox to boot. That is one of the most powerful tools that we will ever have in our arsenal. And speaking of new tools in our arsenal, let's go ahead and use the Dream Warp. Just as long as I have any excuse to. Now, of course, since we just beat another massive dream foe, let's go see what our next reward is for that. Ah, Wielder, you've returned. Let me have a look at the dream nail. The dream nail glows bright. It holds over 1,200 essence. Looking into it, I can see so many memories peering back at me, so many asking to be remembered. None of us can live forever, and so we ask those who survive to remember us. Hold something in your mind, and it lives on with you, but forget it, and you seal it away forever. That is the only death that matters. Ha! So they say. Enough of that, though. Take this relic and come back to me with 1,500 essence. Go! An arcane egg. That's the first one of those we've found. Mysterious stone egg from before the birth of Hallownest. Relic from an ancient past. This item now holds little value, except for those dedicated to history. Well, we know a certain fellow dedicated to history. We'll have to drop that off to him. Now, what the seer was saying there is perhaps a clue as to what exactly it means to dreamnail something. It's to carry the memory with you. Reminds me, of course, of the Disney film Coco. It's like being remembered is immortality, being forgotten. That is the true end. I was once obsessed with power, though my time within this glade has shed me such desire. What folly it was to ever crave such a vicious thing. Have I spoken with you? Are you a warrior, little one? A true warrior is one who can stand strong in the midst of a storm. Those were both pretty short. Let's do one more. You look like Cornifer, actually. You're probably the same kind of bug. We're always left with reminders of the errors we've made. Let your mistakes not burden you, but serve as guideposts on where not to travel. Apparently, whatever that species is very explorative and quite wise to boot. Alright, next up. So the next stop on our journey is Greenpath. Gonna go ahead and set my bench there for the purpose of warping. Now there was quite a lot of acidic water here in Greenpath. So this is a great time for us to start using our Isthmus tier and see exactly what corners of the world hide away from us through its use. I'm just gonna splash in this one just because I can. No need to be cautious. I am invincible to acid. I don't know why I did that. I already have those things entries. I'm sorry. Sorry, mask flies. Anyway, the Lake of Un, as you may recall, massive bed of acid, and a new journal entry present here in these dragonflies. These are called alubas, passive gliders that prefer to dwell near acidic waters. And we only needed to take down one of those to already get the entry, so no need to destroy a ton of innocent bugs this time. What a careless life led drifting above us all. If one ever comes too close to the ground, though. Now let's see what's over this way. Nothing up above, but down below, a well-hidden cavern. It's dark, it's filled with roots, and yet, despite how foreboding it is, you really get a sense of how much life calls this place home. Now let's keep going all the way to the bottom and find, perhaps... Not yet. Now this seems to be the heart. Well, hello. To you too, my friend. And they're gone. Okay, well. What was that? Let's see. We get the Shape of Un charm. Now that's a really, really cool one. While focusing for soul, the bearer can take a new shape and move freely in order to avoid enemies. That is a really nice one. And it more or less tells us that that being that bestowed it upon us was Un herself. A massive slug who brought life to this corner of Hallownest, and giving birth to the Mosskin and that entire civilization. Now, tucked into a corner of a world not seen by just about anyone. Though she's alive and well, she is little more than a relic to a lost age. But let's continue to not dwell on such sad thoughts and explore further back in our old stomping ground. I love Greenpath. It is just feels so adventurous. I love the music, the visuals, even the enemy design here just feels so encouraging to see more of. So I also want to draw some attention to some incredible map design. Ever since we got the Crystal Dash, we have had the ability to fly through long corridors of spikes, and such long corridors, just like the one down and to the left of us, are marked extremely well on our map. Speaking of my map, it made me realize that I'm going to want to have the Grimchild for this next bit. So we can see there's another flame here. So we'll hold on to him for the road ahead. I also decided to go ahead and equip the Shape of Un, just so you guys can see what it's all about. Go ahead and get hit by this guy, just so I can show it off. So when we heal, we turn into this little caterpillar guy and crawl around on the ground. And it is as hilarious as it is adorable. But of course, our first step right now is going to be off this way. We've been here once before. Whoa, nice catch me. And now, let's see what awaits us off this direction. We've got many more of these creatures. I forgot what they're called. They're like Dandaras or something like that. And I can't really check especially well. But we're going to be tested on our... whoops. Alright, that works out for me. Here, let's see. Can I take you down? I sure can. What are they? Durandas. I actually was not far off. And now we're going to be tested on all sorts of abilities at once. We can fly over top of these guys, but eventually we're going to have to stop and nail pogo. And boom, 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 boom! There's an entry. That was awesome. Right, onwards and onwards. And we'll come back that way in a second. Now, deep here among the thorns. Oop, egg, and rancid egg. Don't want to forget that. That's free money. And we still have much to replace after that banker stole everything from us. Got another bench here. And within... we've seen this bug's like before. A visitor? Why have you crept in here, little grub? Perhaps, like me, you have a taste for discovering new things. I am Shio, and in a previous life I was a nail master. Yes, the only thing that drove me was becoming stronger and honing my skills with a nail. I imagined it was my one calling in life, but that feeling faded over time. Now I seek a new calling, something that speaks to my soul and compels me forward. That's why I spend my time here, secluded, trying to master the art of creation, painting, sculpting. These things bring a different kind of pleasure. You don't seem very moved by what I've said. Was it Shio the nail master you were looking for? Did you come to learn a nail art? I'll teach you, if you insist. Well, as long as you're offering. And thus I have been immortalized in paint and mastered the Great Slash. Hold the slash button to concentrate energy into the nail and release without holding up or down to unleash the Great Slash. So, my work, does it move you? The wielding of a nail, the wielding of a brush. These things are not so different. We cut into the world so that we can peer deeper inside. For now, though, I have nothing left to teach you. Your path forwards. Only you can see it. Good luck. What are your thoughts, Master? My brother, Oro. What drove you to hide away deep down at the very edge of that ash-swept grave? Was it pride, or fear, or shame? Perhaps you should lay down your nail if it haunts you so, and find a new calling that eases your soul. Well, he may not wield the nail anymore, but he seems the most enlightened. So here's our new ability. My favorite of the, well, I guess, might as well spoil that there are 3 nail arts. We found the one up in the Howling Cliffs, and this is our second. And he has given us our hint on where to find a third, down by an ash-swept grave. I love the Great Slash. It is one of the best things you can do to any boss fight that staggers. It's a way to just capitalize on that stagger, get a little bit more damage in the process. All the way down here. I don't know why you put that lip there to interrupt me. That's just kind of rude. Bam, and we're done with that corner. Now let's go get that flame, shall we? Ooh, but first, I see a thing that we couldn't get. A Hallow Nest seal. And this one's really rude, because it's so easy to see. But no matter what you do, you can't quite make this jump. Well, maybe. Maybe after you get the Mantis Claw. It looks like Dash... Oh, hey, look, you could. Couldn't really make it back, though. Oh, well. Away with ye! I'm still not strong enough to take those guys out in one hit. That's okay. One day. And now we've got the third Novice. He sent us on a bit of a runaround, but this group of three was not particularly difficult to find. All three of them were basically in places that you're almost definitely, that you've almost definitely already visited by the time you unlock that, the request from Nightmare, from Mr. Grimm. Okay, Nixer. Alright, that was actually not nearly as long. The Crystal Peak one's probably the rudest, being surrounded by so many spikes. But now we've got all three of those flames consumed. We'll have to show Grimm our progress when next we find ourselves back in Dirtmouth. And as long as we're checking in with people, it has been a very long time since this guy bequeathed us the Hunter's Journal. Let's see what he's got to say.
I knew I'd seen it right. The Hunter's quality. Hollow Nest creatures fall in your path. Don't stop now, little squib. Many more there are to find, and stalk, and kill.
Why can't I dream nail you? Get out of the background and into the foreground. I need to know your thoughts. That's okay. I've got a whole journal full of your thoughts. But with that, I would say that's gonna do it for this episode. We have practically finished up Greenpath. In the next episode, we're going to get essentially everything that we haven't gotten here already. And from that point, it's basically gonna be never visiting here again. It's kind of remarkable to think about, but we are making so much progress in this game that we're clearing out areas like this, left and right. Sorry, just bumped my keyboard. That's very, this is the professionalism that you've come to expect, no doubt. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. In the meantime, if you guys like this video, that's fine, but just know that I will dunk you in acid, and only one of us has an Isthmus tier to protect us, so it's probably not going to go too well. See you guys next time.
Thank you.